living in Britain is to push for de-escalation in the Middle East and a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which is such a vital route for energy. To that end, we're exploring each and every diplomatic avenue that is available to us.
Now let's take a look at some of the day's other top stories. The Supreme Court will hear arguments over President Donald Trump's executive order seeking to end automatic birthright citizenship. The president is expected to attend the hearing, potentially becoming the first sitting president to do so. Now, Trump signed an executive order aimed at ending birthright citizenship just hours after taking office in January 2025. Currently, anyone who's born in the United States is an American citizen. Trump is seeking to restrict that right for some people. The citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 in the aftermath of the Civil War. It ended slavery and overturned a Supreme Court decision that had ruled people of African descent could not be US citizens. Now, for more on this, let's speak to Patty Culhane, who joins us live from Washington, D.C. What is the importance of the arguments that we're going to be hearing today at the Supreme Court?
Well, it's hugely important. It's fundamentally possibly going to change the nature of what it means to be an American. As you mentioned, this came about after the Civil War because they wanted the amendment says that basically if you're born here, then you're an American citizen. Now, how is the Trump administration trying to get around that? Because 128 years ago, this very court said that, in fact, if you are born here, then you are a citizen. Well, the Trump administration is right now arguing before the court a couple of things. They say the clause that it's that's subject to the jurisdiction. They're saying because people are born to illegal or undocumented migrants, that they are not allegiant to the United States. That's going to be a bit of a tough pull, I think, from what the justice has been saying. The other thing they're pointing out is in the past Supreme Court case, 128 years ago, the parents of the immigrant in question were here legally. So that is something that some Republican scholars are really pointing to and hoping that the justices who consider themselves originalists will believe that that is in fact what the court 128 years ago meant to say.
Now, Patty, the potential appearance of President Donald Trump is unprecedented. Why would he bother going to effectively a hearing?
Well, because he likes to turn about precedent. As you can see, there's a very vocal, very somewhat large protest going on behind me. A lot of signs against President Trump. We do know that he has arrived. We didn't see him. He went in through the back door. Reporters didn't see him go in, but apparently he's sitting in the public section. He was giving comments just last night, and he said, look, Democratic justices never rule against Democratic presidents. That, in fact, is not true. But he was very disappointed because Republican justices, some appointed by him, ruled against him on tariffs, which he said was the biggest decision that the court had ever made, obviously without evidence. So I think he's probably hoping that by sitting here, breaking the precedent of sending a message, that perhaps he can influence the justices. Not usually how that works, but again, we've never had this happen before.
That's Patty Culhane live for us in Washington, D.C. Now, India has begun its long-delayed population count. It's a census that could reshape welfare programs, political representation across the whole country. The nationwide exercise was originally scheduled for 2021, but it was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic and logistical hurdles. Now, the last census in 2011 recorded a population of 1.21 billion. That figure is now estimated to have surged past 1.4 billion. And excitement is building along Florida's Space Coast just hours before NASA's big lunar launch. On Wednesday, 4 astronauts, 3 Americans and 1 Canadian, are set to make history aboard the Artemis 2 mission. It's the first journey to the moon to carry a crew in more than 50 years. Liftoff is scheduled for 22:24 GMT. Iran is denied it's asking the US for a ceasefire. We'll have more on that at the top of the hour.